Imagine this. It's the dead of winter, 1944. World War II in Europe seems to be winding down. The Allies have pushed the Germans back to their own border, and everyone thinks the war will be over by Christmas. But Hitler has one last, desperate card to play. He launches a massive surprise counterattack through the dense, snowy Ardennes forest in Belgium. This is the story of the Battle of the Bulge, the largest and bloodiest battle fought by the United States in the entire war. On December 16, 1944, under the cover of thick fog and heavy cloud, 200,000 German soldiers and nearly 1,000 tanks smash into a weakly held section of the American lines. The surprise is absolute. The Allies are caught completely off guard. To make matters worse, the terrible weather grounds the powerful Allied Air Force, their biggest advantage. German special forces, fluent in English and dressed in American uniforms, sneak behind enemy lines, changing road signs, cutting telephone wires, and creating chaos. Their goal? A mad dash to the vital port of Antwerp, splitting the British and American armies in two, and forcing the Western Allies to sue for peace. The initial German push is overwhelming. Several American units are overrun, and thousands are forced to surrender. The German advance creates a massive bulge in the Allied lines, which is how the battle got its name. But the Americans don't break. In small pockets of resistance, they fight back with incredible courage. At key crossroads and towns, they dig in and make a stand, slowing the German blitzkrieg to a crawl in the narrow, winding forest roads. The most legendary of these stands happens at the vital crossroads town of Bastogne. Here, the U.S. 101st Airborne Division, the famous Screaming Eagles, find themselves completely surrounded. For 7 long days, they are cut off, hammered by German artillery, and low on ammunition, food, and medical supplies, all while fighting in freezing, snowy conditions. When the German commander demands their surrender, the American commander, General McAuliffe, sends back a legendary one-word reply: nuts. His defiance becomes a rallying cry for the entire Allied effort. The defenders of Bastogne refuse to give up. Just as things look their bleakest, 2 things change. First, the weather finally clears. The sun comes out and the skies are filled with Allied fighter bombers and transport planes. They drop desperately needed supplies to the defenders of Bastogne and begin pounding the German columns, which are now stuck on the icy roads, easy targets from the air. Second, General George S. Patton and his Third Army perform a near miraculous feat, turning their entire army 90 degrees and racing 100 miles through the snow to break the siege of Bastogne. The German offensive grinds to a halt. Their fearsome Tiger II tanks, which were so dominant, proved to be gas guzzlers, and their fuel supplies run critically low. The same Ardennes terrain that hid their initial attack now becomes their prison. The narrow roads and heavy snow make it impossible to maneuver. On January 3rd, the Americans launch their own counteroffensive. The Bulge begins to shrink as Allied forces attack from the north and south. Many German tanks are simply abandoned on the side of the road out of fuel. By January 25, 1945, the battle is over. The Allies have retaken all the ground they had lost. The cost was immense. The Americans suffered around 80,000 casualties, while the Germans lost about 100,000 men. More importantly, Hitler's gamble had failed spectacularly. He had thrown his last elite reserves and most of his remaining tanks into the fight and lost them all. The German army in the West was shattered, its ability to launch any major offensive completely destroyed. The Battle of the Bulge was a brutal, bloody affair. But the resilience and courage shown by the Allied soldiers in the face of disaster ultimately hastened the end of the war in Europe. Thanks for watching. If you found this story of heroism and history interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. See you in the next one.